Total solar eclipses are one of the most spectacular things you'll see in all of nature. And the last time we had a total solar eclipse here in Maine was in 1963. If you missed this one, you got to wait till 2079. So kind of like the Futurama heads in the jars, for me at least, at that point.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this one.
Don't want to miss it.
So the last one that occurred was where? In Australia?
So we had one last year, April 20th, and a grad student and I went down to Australia. We're part of a NASA team that's setting up 35 stations here in Maine, and we took a really wonderful image of that eclipse. But the NASA project actually is going to be doing 35 stations from Texas all the way up to Maine, looking at polarity data of the sun during the total solar eclipse.
What does that mean?
So basically,
remember, I flunked astronomy.
Yes. Well,
dumb it down for me, Shawn.
No worries. So basically, we're looking at the corona, which is the atmosphere of the sun. This is only visible during a total solar eclipse. So what happens during an eclipse is basically the moon comes directly between the sun and the earth, casting a shadow here on planet Earth. And that diameter of the moon equals the angular diameter of the sun. And so it blocks out everything but the atmosphere of the sun. So we're able to see the corona, which is really spectacular. It's about 1/1000th as bright, or 1/10,000th as bright, excuse me, as the surface.
Wow. And so you're not supposed to just stare at it, right? Because I remember there's an image of President Trump staring at an eclipse from the White House, and everyone laughed, and I'm thinking to myself, I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Okay.
So total solar eclipses, of course, the sun, you should never look at the sun with your unaided eye directly for any length of time because it can burn the retina. So typically we ask folks to use eclipse glasses, which block out about 99.9% of
Christy, you want
the
to don
sun.
some eclipse glasses?
You can put some on and try them out. You'll notice if you look at even the lights right now, you are not going to see anything through them because, again, they block out about 99.9% of the sun's light.
It's going really well.
So
like wearing a blindfold.
it's putting
Shawn.
you in the dark. Yeah, exactly. But this will protect your eyes. And for all of the partial phases, you need to wear these because otherwise you can do damage to your eyes. It's only safe to look at the eclipse if you're in the path of totality and during totality when the moon completely covers the sun.
Christy, are you over there?
I'm struggling.
I don't see you.
How are yours staying?
Is it safe to drive with these, Shawn?
You're not going to drive with them, no, because they'll, again, they're only,
can't
and
see
this is the thing, people often ask about sunglasses, but sunglasses will not protect your eyes.
Oh, I can kind of see.
They help you with glare, but they're not going to protect you from, again, the light of the sun.
Wow. Yeah, I don't see anything through these.
You shouldn't, not unless you're looking at the sun, and then you'll see the disk of the sun, which will appear yellow. You may even see some little spots on the sun.
All right.
One of the things I always like to show folks, too, is giving an idea that this is the Earth, and here's the moon. And
Those look like a cake pop.
yeah, and these are to scale.
Are they edible?
No, well, possibly no. These are to scale. And I often ask folks, how far apart these should be, because people often, I think that things are closer than they should be in space, you might say. So, what do you think? Should we have them here, closer? How far do you think the moon is
Christy, I'm
away?
leaning on you. I don't know if you heard, but I flunked astronomy.
No, I never took astronomy.
Oh, well,
so,
there we go. Well,
let's say a little to the left. No, go back. A little bit more. Now go back. I think that looks good.
You think about like this?
That looks good.
All right. So this is what most people think, is that it's somewhere between here and here. But in reality, the actual distance between the Earth-Moon system is a lot different. So this is where the Earth would be, and this is where the moon would be on its average distance.
Okay.
Now, sometimes you may have heard of a supermoon where the moon is farthest away. That's about here. And sometimes we have what we perigeel moon when it's closer, and that's about there. So basically, during a solar eclipse, what you have is you have the moon between the Earth and the sun, and the moon casts a shadow here on the Earth. And that's why that path is very thin. It's only about 120 miles wide or so. If you're on either side, you only see a partial solar eclipse.
And so where does that path strike Maine?
Yeah, so here in Maine, basically you're going to start off, it's sort of a northwest sort of path, and it's going to be sort of, Jackman is on the path, as is Millinocket and Houlton. Dover Foxcroft just barely in it, Milo and Lincoln just barely in it. So basically you have this thin swath that's about, again, 120 miles wide or so, and you have to be inside that to see the total solar eclipse.
And I'm sorry, what time of day is this happening on April 8th, right?
Yeah, it's going to happen on April 8th. The eclipse is going to start roughly around 2:20 in the afternoon. Totality around 3:30, and if you're on the center line, you'll get about 3 minutes and 28 seconds of totality. If you're just barely into that umbral shadow, you'll get maybe 25 or 30 seconds like in Milo or in Lincoln or places like that. So if you can get to the center line, that's really where you want to be. And the difference between seeing a partial and a total is like the difference between seeing a firefly or getting hit by lightning. It really is that dramatic. I tell folks you wouldn't take your...
I've done both.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't take your kids 99% of the way to Disneyland and think they were going to be happy about it. Because it's a completely different experience if you're on the outside compared to if you're inside.